Okay, we're continuing with our journey through Daas Tevunos, through what's becoming thicker and thicker and more difficult to decipher. But so we're speaking the last time we learned. Again, let me just clarify it a little bit, and I'm still not fully grasping it, but um, we are learning, we are exploring what he calls midas mishpotoi. In other words, really what he's saying is that the this world, the time for avoida is under the governance of Hashem's mishpat, right? Right? Even though, meaning before, if you remember, he spoke about like the 10,000 year cycle. There was the 6,000 years of avoida, and there was 1,000 years of, Shabbos, maybe some transition, and then it just kept going up. So there were 5 stages there too. One stage was the 6,000 years of avoida, and then the other 4,000 years was at each different stage. There were 5 stages there also in the entire kind of world um, stage, right? And now he's talking about also 5 stages, but these are 5 stages within this world, within the world of avoida, right? The world of avoida, the journey from the lowest point to the highest point, right? Which is under the Midas HaMishpat, is also divided into these 5 stages, okay? And the 5 stages are the period of Toihu V'Voihu, total chaos, right? Mostly concealment, right? Then the period of Zman Hazeh, right? So it's interesting that it's not in a it's not a linear order. It's not a linear order. It's first kind of the low level, then it jumps really to third level, and meaning in chronology of the world, it jumps to level 3, which is the time of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the time of the temple periods. That's level 3, which is where there is a sense of presence of Hashem, but it's through some external mechanism of miracles. Okay, that's considered level 3. Okay, level 2 is what he considers now that there are no miracles. Okay, so it's a time of concealment, but it's not complete concealment because we have the Torah, we have the mitzvahs, we have something that some revelation takes place through knowledge, right? The revelation is not through external source. And externally there is concealment. Internally there is some level of revelation. And then finally, the fourth is really the final stage, is the time of total revelation, but revelation through internal means, through das, through appreciation, through knowledge. Okay, and the fifth level is really more like an extension of the fourth level, which is growth upon growth upon growth in revelation. Okay, so these are the 5 stages, which correspond obviously. I mean, not obviously. I don't say obviously, but right, they correspond to the levels of neshama that we have. Right, the nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, and yechida. These are
Mm-hmm.
5 levels. Right, these are the corresponds to the 4 letters of Hashem's name, plus the 5th level, which is known as kutzei shel yud, the the
Mm-hmm.
what do you call that? The point, the highest point of the Yud, which is the beginning of Hashem's name, right? So these are all corresponding to each other. That's why there's 4, and then the 5th is just an extra level on top, right? But this is all within Midas Mishpat. This is all within the progression of the world from concealment to revelation. That stage, okay? Not the total revelation of Olam Habo, which is the revelation of Chesed. This is a revelation of Mishpat, which is during the time of Avodas Hashem, of service. Okay, so that's what we saw. Again, Neshama had a question about exactly what's the nature of toihu, of that chaos? What's the nature of that time? If it's chesed or if it's mishpat, because it seems to be neither full mishpat and neither full chesed, or a little bit of both. So that's not clear, and I'm still not clear exactly how he answers that question. But somehow concealment, which is what that is. It's an expression of concealment, or even the time right now, it's an expression of concealment. But during that concealment, somehow it allows for chesed to take place also. Along Rab Nachman's, Va'afilu b'hastara, shebesoich hastara, right? Hakadosh Baruch Hu is still standing there, and he works on ways to bring back the world, just like he said with Yaakov Avinu when he was complaining. The whole time he was complaining, Yosef is being coronated in Egypt, right? Okay. So that's where we're up to. That's what we did last time. Okay. Now, what he's saying, he's going back. So now we are going to start again and Kuf Mem Zayin, 147. 147. So 147. So, or 148, whatever. Omar Seichel. So, meaning he asked the neshama, he says, he has this idea that whatever exists in the creation, right, also exists reflected somehow in the person, right? This goes back to this beautiful idea that we have that whatever that, the world is a large man, and the man is a small world, right? Um, again, there's a beautiful Pachad Yitzchak, right? When Chana, and maybe I'll speak about it at a later time, but when Chana, sang a song to Hashem for thanking him for giving her Shmuel, right? Chana said, "Ein tzur kelakenu, ein tzur kelakenu." There's no tzur, and generally we translate tzur like rock. There's no rock like Hashem. Ein tzur kelakenu. However, the Gemara, for some reason, has a drosha. Not only ein tzur kelakenu, but ein tzayer kelakenu. There's no artist like Hashem. So, because in other words, the Gemara is trying to kind of insert words into Chana's prayer. She said, "Ein tzur kelakenu." There's no rock, meaning the salvation, the rock, like the permanency. When the permanency of God's presence that came through for her at the end. That's what she was saying. But the Gemara puts in "Ein tzayer kelakenu," that Hashem was able to create a human being, right? And the Gemara says that an artist can paint a picture, but an artist cannot breathe life into that picture. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu can create a human being and breathe life into it. Ein tzayer kelakenu. So the Pachad Yitzchak asks, like, what's that doesn't seem like it's a very strange thing that the sages say. Meaning, besides the fact that they're changing what she's trying to say, but even if that's true, it's a funny thing to it seems like a downgrade to say that, Hashem is a great artist and he makes great pictures. That seems like a downgrade to what Hashem is, the creator of the universe, right? So he made a picture. I mean, just very strange praise. So the Bachar Yitzchak explains that Ein Tzayer Kelakenu is the idea that HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates models, miniatures, meaning not that, again, there's a scene, I always think of a scene in a Men in Black. There's a scene in Men in Black. You never seen it? That's fine. There's a scene in Men in Black where the cat, I don't remember it so well, but the cat has like a chain around its neck, and it has like a little bally, and I don't remember, but basically inside that ball is a whole galaxy or something, or a planet or something like that. And somebody asked, like, how do you fit a whole galaxy into a little ball? and the cat goes something like, "You humans can only think about like size, like basically the whole concept of space. It's the whole thing is silly. You could whatever you can do whatever you want basically I don't know physically how that works, but the idea of Ein Tzair Kelokeinu, says Pachad Yitzchak, is that Hashem creates models, and they may be small physically, they're small models, but they're models, meaning they're modeled on bigger things. So, in other words, within the miniature contains is a microcosm of something big, right? So the point of Ein Tzair Kilikeinu is not to say that Hashem is a great artist, but rather to say that Hashem runs the world in such a way that everything that He creates in the world is a miniature, is a model, it's like a microcosm, as we say, of the bigger things, right? So in other words, it's not that a person is a small world. He is small compared to the world, but every person is a world in itself. In other words, everything that we do has huge ramifications on the universal cosmic level. Anyways, and this is what the Ramchal is saying, that everything within the human being is reflective of the entire creation. So Omar HaSeichel, again coming back to that, Omar HaSeichel, Tiri, look, Yitzira Sa'odam B'Hadragoy Seg, look at the creation of man in all of its levels. Ki HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hoya Yochel L'Hoylid HaOdam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu could have bring forth a man, Meshuchlal B'chol Shleimos, containing all perfection. Okay. If he wanted to do, there's nothing that's holding him back. Also, but Hashem did not do it like that. How lacking is a person on the day of his birth, right? So in the very fact that a human being is created, a helpless baby, that in itself is reflecting something in the way Hashem runs the creation, right? And this baby continues growing little by little, right? Again, so you could see already, right? Just like he said that the creation of the world, the initial stages were stages of chaos where Hashem was running the world on pure chesed, right? So you could see that that's going to be parallel to what he's trying to say now. Meaning we see that by definition, by nature, a human being is born helpless and he's completely dependent on the kindness of his parents. Okay, v'timtzig, and it's just going to say v'timtzig shehumare mamash al kvoido yisborach. So you will see that this really points to Hashem's honor. Yivihan Hagoso, and here's the way he runs the world. Begilui mem shalto, in his revelation of his dominance. You will see that transcendence, not transcendence, that experience, the human experience of life, is reflective in that the way Hashem runs the world in these 5 stages. That this is the growing of the world parallel to the growing of a person. And the honor and glory of God that unfolds in this revelation, okay, through these different levels. So let's keep going. Hine, so the beginning of the creation of man is through the coming together of his partners, of 2 partners, which is his father and his mother. They are the birth givers of anything that gets born. I'm not sure what he's trying to say over here, but he's trying to say basically that I guess that everything in the world has 2, meaning the father is trying to I think this is an additional lesson here, that everything that exists comes together through 2 forces. The father and the mother for humans are just a representative of similar processes in other beings or in other aspects. So for first stage, he is closed in the womb of the mother for the months of gestation. Afterwards, he is born, he comes out to the air of the world, and then he grows little by little. But however, he is not yet perfected, so not in his physical stature, not in his intellectual knowledge, until he reaches this completion. But first he is going to be completed in his knowledge, to the point that he will now be chayiv in mitzvahs. Vehu ben Yud Gimel, that's at the age of 13. Ve'im kol zeh adayin in Sholem, but still he is not yet complete, meaning physically, and he's still a young man, young boy. Then afterwards he will complete his growth completely. So, and from that point on, he gets higher and higher as he grows older. Behidur hazikna, okay, through the the beauty of his old age. I'm not sure, of a beard. I'm not sure, how do they translate by you?
The splendor of
Behidur
old age.
hazikna, the splendor of old
Of old
age.
age, yep.
Okay, vateres seva, and the crown of older age. V'tam zikanim, and the sage reasoning. Asher roiv shonim yoidiyu chochma, until through many years he gets wisdom. Right, the abundance of years teaching, basically the life teaches him wisdom. And all of this is a model, is a model of what we talked about in the levels of creation. What comes out that a person himself, shehu hanohug mimenu isbarach, he is the recipient of Hashem's guidance. Mare be'atzmo hanhoga asher hu isbarach menahagoy. He himself reflects the guidance through which he is guided. And we already mentioned this previously. So let's try to figure this out. So what are the 5 levels? Which of these 5? I'm not clear. We see that there's a progression, but how does that match the 5 levels? I'm not sure if I'm clear.
Here in the book, they break it up.
Okay, so what did they say?
The very first, where the babies, the infant is not even born yet, the month of pregnancy, that's number 1. Then the birth, and until then he's not yet fully developed, either in his physical form or in his mental faculties. This happens only when he reaches maturity. That's the end of the second period. Then he's obligated to mitzvahs at the age of 15. And that's number 3. Then development, maturity, that's number 4. And then he grows older. That's number 5.
Mm-hmm.
So, and not born yet, number 1. Born and begins to grow, number 2. Not yet, not fully developed physically or mentally. Then 13. He's obligated to keep mitzvahs. That's number 3. After that, from 13 until full development and full maturity. No, maybe I'm misreading it. Hold on.
No, I think that makes sense. So the way he's saying it, so again, so he saying womb, right?
Mm-hmm.
child, let's say womb,
No.
childhood, bar mitzvah, maturity, and extra maturity. Let's call it age, old age, right? So
Yes.
again, he's saying womb,
Bro.
childhood,
Hmm.
bar mitzvah, maturity, old age.
I'm trying to figure out what the number three is. That
So number three,
begins
as he
with
said,
begins with bar mitzvah.
there is a growth of das, but not yet growth of, not yet full growth of body, so to speak.
Right.
And then let's say 20. Let's pick a number like 20,
No,
and
but
let's
he
say that.
lists page 423. He lists it.
Yep.
What do you see on page 423? I mean, I don't have your pages, but
Right. This is where we're at. Yep.
Yeah, like born, then up to 13 years old, then 13 years old.
Right. 13, then like adulthood.
right. So let's
It,
figure out. So how does that correspond to the five stages of the world?
oh,
So then the
Okay.
womb would be the first stage, would be the years of toihu, which actually make more sense than childhood because it's, the child is not yet fully formed,
Hmm.
right? So womb is chaos,
Right.
even though, the Chachomim do say, I'm just thinking out loud, but the Chachomim do say that in the womb, everybody learns, their chelik and Torah, kol Torah
Yeah. Yeah.
chumon, etc. Okay, but let's leave that aside for now. But you have the chaos
Hmm.
of the womb. Then you have childhood would be what? Would be a time similar to what?
Here, they have commentaries here. This
Okay.
corresponds to the 2,000 years of desolation and the Egyptian exile.
Which part?
Uh, After birth.
So what is
Oh
what
no,
is the
hold on a
time of womb?
second. No,
yes,
I'm sorry. No, no, yeah, that's the womb. I'm sorry. Yeah, right. I misread.
before giving Torah, I guess.
No,
Right.
no. So,
Bar mitzvah sounds like would be a
no.
great
So
time of
the
giving of
Exodus would
Torah.
be the birth. The Exodus would be the
So
birth.
the
Everything before
Exodus is the
Exodus
birth.
is, yeah.
It's a tough one because he didn't differentiate by Exodus and giving of, I mean, Exodus would be miracles.
All right. Here they say that this corresponds to 2,000 years of desolation and the Egyptian exile.
Okay, right.
Then the birth,
Which is
and
which is then would be
are
Mitzrayim plus temples.
here they said right. They say Golos and the destruction of Beis Hamikdash. This
That
is
would
the
be what?
present. This the stage after birth.
After bar mitzvah.
No,
Oh,
before
after
the
birth.
birth, after birth.
After birth corresponds to Golus,
Yes, correct. And
present day Golus.
President
After birth
Golos at
corresponds to
and Beis
present day
Hamikdash.
Golus.
So I
What?
guess and the destruction from Beis Hamikdash. So I
Whatever,
guess
present day Golus.
right. Yeah, but that means so the from Exodus until destruction of Beis Hamikdash.
No, I don't think so.
I'm asking what is that? How does that fit? What is that? That's process of birth?
No, so I'm saying, so again, I'm not sure what you're seeing on your end, but if I'm understanding correctly what you're saying, right? So from there are five stages, right?
Mm-hmm.
Human stages, right? So we have womb, birth, bar mitzvah, maturity, old age.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the world has five stages, which is uh, chaos,
Yeah.
right? Now, skipping the second stage is Golus,
Ah, okay. Right. Okay.
which is present day Golus. I don't think
Got
that,
it. Got it.
right?
Got it.
Present day Golus,
Number three is going to come after. I'm sorry.
right? Right. Number three is Exodus and temples.
Yep. The
And
golden
number
age.
four is, let's call it Mashiach. Okay, revelation through Das. And number 5 is old age for the world, which is revelation post Mashiach revelation. So
Mm-hmm.
on the world stage, the second and the third levels are flipped chronologically. It
Mm-hmm.
sounds like on the human growth, individual growth, they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order. That the first stage is the womb, which is the chaos. The
Mm-hmm.
second stage, which is birth, is um, exodus in the temples. Bar mitzvah would actually be golus. Maturity would be Mashiach, and old age would be, you know, post Mashiach revelation.
Mm-hmm. All
Yeah,
right. Yep. Yep. So the maturity, they say at the age of 20, this corresponds to giving the Torah on Mount Sinai and the Messianic era. And then that's number 5. No, that's number 4. And number 6, the increasing levels of relation after the Mashiach.
right, right. So the few days before the Chet Egel,
Mm-hmm.
they reached the level technically of Mashiach days. They were there on the level for a bit, and then
Mm-hmm.
they lost it, right? Because on Har Sinai, when they got, they supposedly went to, they all died, came back to life. There was
Mm-hmm.
some kind of level of revelation that is only a glimpse, I guess, into the Mashiach era, right? Meaning that at that point they connected with God not through miracles but through actual direct revelation of God's presence,
Mm-hmm.
speakings, whatever, however we understand that, right? So that's maturity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, um, okay, but so the childhood era is the era of miracles, where I guess a child doesn't. So, in other words, in his understanding, a child who doesn't have so much das,
Right.
right? And so his connection to God, so to speak, is childish. So therefore, when we connect through God through miracles, that is also a childish connection, right? So in other words, in a certain sense, when we are right now in Golos and we're connecting to
Mm-hmm.
God through learning, it's a higher level connection than through miracles. We're more mature
Mm-hmm.
in Golos because we're connecting through the Torah. Now it's possible that the reason why, I'm just thinking, but I don't know for sure, but the reason why in the world on the world stage, why the second and third levels are flipped is because maybe the only way for us to get to that fourth level of Mashiach is through the stage of Golus. So first, meaning we got the Torah, we
Mm-hmm.
went to the Yerushalayim. We had the temples, we had the miracles of the temples, but our level of appreciation of God was childish. And the only way to overcome that was to actually take a step backward, so to speak, and really lose those miracles, lose the crutch, so to speak. So then we could actually then, through our connection to the Torah, in the darkness of the Golus, can reach a higher level of the revelation of Mashiach. So that's why on the world stage these things are flipped, while on the human level they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So here in their explanation, they tie. They also flip. They say that the womb is the 2,000 years, and Mitzrayim. Then from the womb, the birth until bar mitzvah is the current Golus, and then things can start getting better. From bar mitzvah until the age of 20 is the Exodus and the Beis Hamikdash, first and second. From the age of 20, it begins the revelation of Har Sinai and Mashiach, and then the continuous growth and increasing levels. So
Okay.
they tie the goal is to the early ages of a person. Then when he gets to be bar mitzvah, this is the age of miracles until the age of 20. At the age of 20, he gets the Torah and Har Sinai, and after that is Mashiach. So that fall never really happened according to him and the
Okay. Could
chronology.
be. Maybe they're right. I don't know. Okay. Certainly makes more parallel sense, but okay.
Right.
Fine. Let's keep going.
Mhm.
Where am I? Okay. So neshama, right? That's where we have to amra neshama v'adei
Yep.
dover miskabel ma'oidhu. Certainly, this is a very reasonable thing. Shia demusa odom, so that the image of man roimiz l'storim milyonim masvis baruch is a hint, is a analogy to the hidden mysteries of above. Okay, Omar Seichel, v'gam kol shal bria soilam heimkach. And also, all other creations in the world are also like that. Kol achas v'achas dugma, each one of the things that are created, dugma is a reflection, is a model, le'echad mesisra and hagoso isbarach, to one of the hidden providences of God. V'kivna machshava ha'elyoina, and the upper, the uppermost, loftiest thought, kavana, intended lasa is called sidran hagoiseha dugma boilam hazeh, that every one of Hashem's providences should be reflected in some creation. Umekan nimshach roiv amoin habriyos, and that's why we have so many creations. Shekol brio bria mare al echad misidran hagosei, because each and every creation points to some order, to some element, to some aspect of Hashem's guidance. V'nidoinim kol mikre abriya hahi b'chol tzuroiseho v'skuloiseho al pi inyone haseder ahu ho'imed lirois boy. Okay, and all of the things that happened with this particular creation, okay, in all its forms and properties, right? Tzuroiseho v'skuloiseho, the forms and properties. Al pi inyone haseder ahu ho'imed lirois boy. They are all reflections of different aspects of this, I'm not trying to say it, of this hanhaga, of this providence. So until we find that all that Hashem's midos are like roots, okay? V'habriyos anofim, and the creations are branches, lohem mamish. Okay, so everything that we see is a branch of Hashem's midos, is an expression of Hashem's midos. That the existence of the brios are dependent on the existence of the midos. Okay, now we're getting into some serious Kabbalistic stuff over here, right? In the sense that if everything, if everything reflects Hashem's midos, then a person who, I don't know, again, who's plugged in, I guess, can influence maybe, or can have positive hashpah, or chas v'shalom, maybe like Bilam, maybe negative hashpah, I don't know. But the point is that if you understand how everything is connected, then you could influence that. Okay, so ukvar mizeh nimshuchu maros hanevim, and again, he's saying that from this we get the visions of prophets. When Hashem wants to reveal to the prophet some aspect of his midos, right? He would show them in the visions, the vision of the lion or the vision of the ox, or different types of inyanim that appear in the prophecies. Okay, v'zeh poshut, that he says, and that's poshut. Okay, I don't know why it's poshut, but that's what he says. V'zeh poshut. Okay, so v'nashlim ata ha'inyan Now let's complete the matter that we are studying. 1 second. I thought I had to share. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna leave it for now. But I mean, this is saying big ideas over here. I mean, I think there's a line in the Rambam somewhere. I'm not sure I remember where. That we can't understand the reason for existence of all different things that exist. There's just too many species. Right? The Ramchal is telling us that everything that exists is a reflection of something higher, right? The spiritual world is reflected in the physical world, and there's a spiritual root for all of the physical things that exist, right? And each spiritual root is basically midos of Hashem. But there's millions, right? And then he's saying that's why there are so many things in existence, right? So every species that exists, every animal, every bug, everything is a reflection of Hashem's midos, right? And I mean, that's great, but there's just so many. So, I mean, again, obviously we can't say that it's an accident, but meaning, what should I say? How should I say it? So clear, right? So I mean, I think we would have to say that according to the Ramchal, there's a sort of hierarchy, meaning just like we say, I don't know, that Aryeh is a lion, is a king of the animals. So there is a group, he's maybe on top of the pyramid, and some of the other species are just reflections of that midah called Aryeh, and all of the ox, and meaning midos, the totality of midos are not millions and millions. The totality of midos are, as far as we know, 10 comes down to 10, right? But then they split, right? The 10 splits into more tens, and but that means that there's a hierarchy. And so even if you there's, in other words, not to make a machlokes between the Rambam and the Ramchal, you may not understand each individual midah and why Hashem created so many different types of cats, but we can understand cat because cat maybe is a derivative of lion. I don't know if it is. I'm not spiritually speaking. I have no idea. I'm not but I'm just saying that you might not understand the details like the Ramchal, but in Ramchal's world, you may understand the general picture. Okay, moving on. So let's complete the matter that we're speaking of. Behold, according to what we have explained, we are being taught, we are learning that for every midah and midah there is a inyan of that midah. How do you say an inyan? He says over here, the essence of that midah. I don't know if essence, there's an inyan of that midah, the koyach amidah, and there is the strength of that midah. Pirush, explaining, hakoyach eich tucha legailois ha'inyan shebechuko. The strength of the midah is its ability to reveal itself. Okay? Right? So there is the inyan, and then there is the strength to reveal that inyan. Right? There's the essence, there's the essence of the midah, and then there's the energy that pushes that essence forward. Again, let's internalize that. Again, there's the essence of the midah, and there's the energy to push that essence forward. Ki hamishpat hu klal darkei haschar v'oinish. For example, the mishpat, right? That's an essence, that's an inyan, right? The mishpat. What's the essence of mishpat? Mishpat, I'm sorry, is a midah. What's the essence of mishpat? Klal darkei haschar v'oinish. The ways of reward and punishment. im lechesed, im leshifter, whether for kindness or whether for punishment, for the rod. Nichlolim b'shloisha roshim, and that is kind of generalized or included in three categories, three headings. Shehem midas chesed, the midah of chesed, midas hadin, the midah of judgment, umidas harachamim, and the midah of mercy, the attribute of mercy, right? In other words, within the midah of mishpat, right? Since there is reward and punishment, so reward is the chesed, the punishment is the din, and rachamim, I'm not sure, mix, whatever. Okay, ach koyach hagolus, he golus hamishpat azeh al pidrochov, hu hamishtana me'eis le'eis. Now, the revelation of this justice, according to its different ways, changes from time to time. Shehu misrabe or mismayit. Sometimes it gets stronger and greater, and sometimes it gets smaller and weaker. V'nimtza hagiloi choser yoiser. And as such, the revelation gets lesser or more. Maza doima. What is that similar to? Levnei ha'odom shedmusam b'chol evareihem shove. Right, a person who's they're all they may be alike in all their limbs, right? Sorry, all people are the same in their limbs. They all have arms and legs and whatnot. However, the power of each individual changes from one to another very much. Therefore, one is able to do what one person can do what another man can't. And really, within the person himself, within the very same individual, there is a change in his strength. From one time to another. It's simple, right? Sometimes he's tired, sometimes he's full of energy, right? So in other words, just like the essence of a person can come out stronger or weaker in different times, and stronger or weaker amongst different men, so too Hashem's mishpat, the essence of Hashem's mishpat, can come to realization stronger or weaker in different times. Similarly, this thing, the truth is, Hashem runs the world mishpat always. And He maintains the laws of the creation that are as they are dependent on the ways of mishpat. However, sometimes it's stronger revealed and sometimes it's weaker. And this also differentiates the different days of the year, right? There are holy days and there are secular days, mundane days. And the difference between them, a stronger revelation or lesser revelation in his providence in the ways of Kedusha. As we will explain further, so this is the introduction to the next part. Is called right? Since all the aspects of his providence, of his anhog, of his guidance, are chakukim. I'm not sure what he wants to say over here. 1 second. I mean, I'm not. So he's introducing the next point, but I'm not sure how he's introducing it. Meaning, okay, he's telling us that, meaning we didn't finish. Meaning, it sounded on one hand that he's concluding this exposition of Mishpat, but he's telling us that he's not. He says, "V'amnam beyois kol divrei anhoga chakukim dover dover v'siboisov." That since every element of Hashem's providence is etched, I don't know why he says etched, each thing and its cause, right? Hine vadai tzorech she'asibois yaspiku l'kol ma sheyesh lehavchem b'toldoisem vadai. So it has to be that the cause is evident, right? Is enough evident in the effect, right? In other words, again, this is Ramchal is saying basically that since Hashem, right, according to his understanding that everything is by design, right? So therefore, by design means that there is a law of providence, right? The law of providence means that there's a system in place that Hashem designed, and if there's a system in place that Hashem designs, there's a cause and effect. So therefore, since there is Hashem established a system of cause and effect, so therefore, basically, what he's saying is that we must understand how the cause is evident in the effect. Okay? How they bring forth the result, right? This goes back again to that idea that he said before, that there's a concept of hiloda, of giving birth, right? Everything is a chain. That if you want to understand Hashem's world, kind of look at the DNA, okay, and reverse engineer the whole thing. So everything is a chain, okay? So therefore he's saying, and the chain means is a cause and effect system. So therefore, if we want to understand the causes, look carefully in the effects, and you will understand what the cause is. However, if we want to fully understand, we got to get deeper. Now, as you will hear now. Okay? So he's introducing something that the next level. So again, we'll just begin just to get our appetite, and then we're going to stop. Okay? Isn't the way that we're speaking until now good enough? Meaning, where are you taking me, right? Where else are we going? Didn't you just fully explain to me how Hashem runs the world? Good and straight what we said until now. Amnam, however, we need to know that according to the intent of God's providence, Hashem created the essence of the creations. Okay? And this is the depth that we want to understand now better. Okay? Right? In other words, so what he's trying to go deeper into this idea that Hashem's providence is reflected in the creations that he is guiding. This is the essence of the creations. The kol mikrov and all of the kind of occurrences, all of the accidentals, that changes according to the anhoga and to reflect it, right? This day he told us that Hashem's providence sometimes gets stronger and sometimes gets weaker. So he wants to show us how that is reflected in the creations as well. Not just in the anhoga changes, but the essence of the creations also changes. Okay? Because you already heard the essence of this lower world. It's a dark place and a lacking place. That everything that is created in this world is dark and diminished. And I also told you already how everything that exists is something that Hashem innovated, right? Created from fresh, right? It's all new. V'tolu rak b'gzeirosoi u'b'ma'amoroi. And it's only tolu in Hashem's gzeira, his decree and his statements. V'nimtza she'ayoy samokum hazeh b'choshkoi. And since this place is in its darkness, zevadei tolu b'maimar piv. This is dependent on Hashem's decree. Shema'amidoi b'tchunazois, that intentionally keeps it in this state, in this characteristics. If he wanted to, he could remove the darkness and illuminate it. He could make it greater, lifted, and honored. That's simple. Okay? So, but again, I'm not sure where he's going to go with this right now, but he's saying that again, this is an opportunity for us to reach a certain understanding, right? Meaning, since the state of the world is a direct expression of God's will, so therefore, by understanding the state of the world, basically, we can understand God's will, right? Because this is a will that He's willing into existence. In Bikor v'in b'shiflusa yishlon mokum rechav yadayim, a huge opportunity, okay, to analyze and to contemplate. Kinimtza b'zeh chochma amuko lehavin, because this is a great deep wisdom to understand kama milas shel ilui v'hashpola yesh le'odam ba'olomai. How many levels of ilui, right, of elevation and hashpola and degradation a person has in this world. And the truth is, in the details, there is no end. However, the general principles are not so. And there's huge keys that will help us open the great mysteries of Hashem's creations. Okay? So I guess we'll stop at this point on the edge of our seats, where he's going to tell us about the great mysteries of Hashem's creations that can be revealed in an understanding that the world is being decreed by Hashem as in its state, and that decree can go stronger and weaker depending on His will. Okay, so we'll have to pause here. Okay?
Okay.
Let me stop the recording.